He walked into that hospital for a routine appointment. What he found destroyed him. The woman who vanished 5 years ago, without explanation, without goodbye, was standing right there, alive. But she wasn't alone. 2 children, 4 years old, staring at him with his eyes. His children. Children he never knew existed. He was a powerful man. Untouchable. Feared. But in that moment, everything he thought he knew shattered. Because the truth wasn't just hidden. It was standing right in front of him. And now he had to choose. The empire he built. Or the family he never knew he had. Jae-hyun didn't believe in coincidence. In his world, nothing happened by accident. Every move was calculated. Every breath had a price. Every face that crossed his path had already been screened, vetted, cleared. So when he walked into Mercy Children's Hospital that Tuesday afternoon, he expected nothing more than routine. His fiancée, Hana, had insisted on the appointment. Premarital health screening. Something about starting their future on solid ground. He'd agreed because it was easier than arguing, and because men like him didn't refuse the small things. It kept the illusions alive. The hospital smelled like sanitizer and something faintly sweet. Artificial. Like everything else in his life. Hana walked beside him, her heels clicking against the polished floor, her hand resting lightly on his arm. She looked perfect. She always did. Elegant, poised. The kind of woman who belonged on his arm at charity galas and in boardroom photographs. She smiled at him, and he returned it. Empty. Practiced. "This won't take long," she said softly. He nodded. They turned the corner toward the pediatric wing. Hana had mentioned something about a specialist consultation, though he hadn't been paying attention. And that's when time stopped. Not metaphorically. Actually stopped. Because standing 20 feet away, clipboard in hand, white coat draped over her shoulders, was her, Amara. His chest tightened. His breath caught. The world narrowed to a single point. Her face. 5 years. 5 years since she disappeared without explanation. No note. No goodbye. No forwarding address. Just an empty apartment, and a silence so complete it had nearly killed him. He'd searched. God, he'd searched. God. Used every resource, every contact, every dark favor owed to him in the underground. But Amara Okafor had vanished like smoke. And now she was here. Alive. Close. She hadn't seen him yet. She was crouched down, speaking softly to a little girl in pigtails, her voice warm and gentle. The same voice that used to whisper his name in the dark. Jae-hyun's feet moved on instinct, pulling away from Hana's grip. "Jae?" Hana's voice was distant, confused. He didn't answer. He walked forward, each step heavy, deliberate, his pulse roaring in his ears. And then Amara looked up. Their eyes met. For a heartbeat, the world held its breath. Her expression flickered. Shock, fear, something unreadable. And then she stood abruptly, her clipboard clattering to the floor. Jae-hyun. His name on her lips felt like a knife. Amara. She looked the same, older maybe, tired around the edges, but the same deep brown eyes, the same curve of her jaw. The same woman who had once been everything. "What are you doing here?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "I could ask you the same thing." She swallowed hard, glancing past him toward Hana, who was now standing a few feet away, watching with sharp curiosity. "I work here," Amara said quietly. "I'm a pediatrician." A pediatrician. He almost laughed. Almost. "You left New York to become a pediatrician." "I left to survive." The words hit him like a fist. Before he could respond, a small voice interrupted. "Mommy?" Jae-hyun's entire body went rigid. He turned slowly. 2 children stood in the doorway of the exam room behind Amara. A boy and a girl. 4, maybe 5 years old. Identical faces, dark hair, wide, curious eyes. His eyes. The boy tilted his head, studying Jae-hyun with unnerving intensity. The girl clutched a stuffed rabbit, half hidden behind her brother. Amara's face drained of color. "Go back inside, babies," she said quickly, her voice strained. "Mommy will be right there." But the boy didn't move. He kept staring at Jae-hyun, and Jae-hyun stared back. Because he knew. God help him, he knew. The shape of their faces, the slant of their eyes, the way the boy stood, shoulders back, chin lifted, fearless. His children, the air left his lungs. "Amara," his voice was low, dangerous. "Who are they?" She didn't answer. She didn't have to. Hana's heels clicked closer. "Jay, what's going on?" He couldn't speak, couldn't move. Amara's eyes filled with tears, but she blinked them back, her jaw set. "Please," she whispered. "Not here." But it was too late. The boy took a step forward, his small hand reaching out toward Jae-hyun. "Are you my dad?" The question shattered everything. Jae-hyun's world, built on control, on power, on absolute dominance, crumbled in an instant, because the answer was yes, and nothing would ever be the same. Silence. Heavy. Suffocating. The boy's question hung in the air like smoke after an explosion. "Are you my dad?" Jae-hyun couldn't breathe. He stood frozen, staring down at the child, his child, whose eyes searched his face with heartbreaking hope. Amara moved first. She swept forward, placing herself between Jae-hyun and the children, her hands trembling as she gently guided the boy back toward the exam room. "Elijah, baby, go inside with Zara, now." The boy hesitated, looking up at her with confusion. "But Mommy—" "Now, Elijah." Her voice cracked. The boy obeyed, taking his sister's hand and disappearing through the doorway, but not before glancing back one more time at Jae-hyun, as if trying to memorize his face. The door clicked shut. Amara turned back, and for the first time in 5 years, they stood face to face with nothing between them but the truth. "Jae-hyun, don't." His voice was barely human. Low. Lethal. "Don't say a word." Hana stepped closer, her expression shifting from confusion to alarm. "Jay, what's happening? Who is this woman?" He didn't answer her. His eyes never left Amara. "How old are they?" he asked quietly. Amara's throat worked. 4. 4. The math was simple, brutal. She had been pregnant when she left. Pregnant, with his children, and she had run. "You were carrying my children," he said slowly, each word laced with venom. "And you disappeared. I had no choice. No choice." His voice rose, sharp enough to cut. "You had no choice but to steal my children from me?" "I didn't steal them." Amara's voice broke. "I saved them." "From what?" "From you." The words echoed down the corridor. Hana gasped softly. Jae-hyun went very, very still. "From me," he repeated, his tone deadly calm now. Amara's eyes filled with tears, but her voice didn't waver. "From your world, Jae-hyun. From the guns, the blood, the enemies. I couldn't—" Her voice cracked. "I couldn't raise our children in that nightmare. So you decided for me." "Yes." She lifted her chin. "I decided, because you would have never let me go, and I needed them to be safe." "Safe?" He laughed bitterly. "You think hiding them from me made them safe?" "It did." "And what about me?" His voice dropped to a whisper. "Did you think about what it did to me?" For a moment, something flickered across her face. Regret. Pain. But she didn't back down. "Every single day," she said softly. "I thought about you every single day. But I would do it again. Because they're alive. They're happy. And they don't know what you are." The final sentence landed like a blade between his ribs. "What you are." Hana touched his arm gently. "Jae-hyun, I don't understand. Are those children yours?" He didn't answer. Amara looked at Hana for the first time, her gaze cool but not unkind. "I'm sorry you had to find out this way." Hana's face paled. "Find out what?" "That the man you're about to marry," Amara said quietly, "is the father of my children." The words detonated. Hana stepped back as if struck, her hand falling away from Jae-hyun's arm. She looked at him, eyes wide, searching for denial. He gave her none. Because it was true. All of it. Hana's breath came faster. Jae, tell me this isn't real. He finally looked at her. And in that look, she saw everything. Her face crumpled. Without another word, she turned and walked away, her heels clicking rapidly down the corridor until the sound faded into nothing. And then there were two. Jae-hyun and Amara, the man who ruled the underworld, and the woman who had defied him. I want to see them, he said. No. That wasn't a request. I don't care. Amara's voice hardened. You don't get to walk into their lives just because you found out they exist. They're my children. They're my children. I'm the one who carried them, raised them, loved them. You're just a stranger. A stranger. He stepped closer, and she instinctively stepped back. I'm their father, Amara. Biologically, yes, but that's all. His jaw clenched. You had no right. I had every right. Her voice shook. Because I'm their mother, and my job is to protect them. Even from you. They stood in the narrow corridor. Two people who had once loved each other more than anything, now separated by an impossible chasm. I won't let you take them from me, Amara said softly. Jae-hyun's gaze darkened. And I won't let you keep them from me. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then, from behind the closed door, a small voice called out, Mommy? Is that man still there? Amara closed her eyes. Jae-hyun's expression softened, just for a heartbeat. Let me meet them, he said quietly. Properly. Just once. And then what? Amara's voice was barely a whisper. You disappear back into your world, and they grow up wondering why their father didn't want them. I do want them. You can't have both, Jae-hyun. Tears finally spilled down her cheeks. You can't have your empire and them. It doesn't work that way. Then I'll choose them. The declaration hung in the air. Amara stared at him, disbelief written across her face. You don't mean that. I do. You can't just watch me. He turned toward the door. Amara grabbed his arm. Jae-hyun, wait. Please, you can't just storm in there and turn their lives upside down. He looked down at her hand on his arm, then back at her face. They're already my life, Amara. I just didn't know it until 10 minutes ago. Her grip tightened. Promise me something. What? Promise me that if you walk through that door, you won't leave them. Not ever. Because if you break their hearts, I will never forgive you. Jae-hyun held her gaze. I promise. She searched his eyes for a long moment. Then slowly, she let go, and he walked toward the door. The door opened quietly. Jae-hyun stepped inside. The exam room was small, bright, walls painted pale blue with cartoon animals stenciled near the ceiling. A child's world. Safe. Innocent. Everything his world wasn't. The boy, Elijah, sat on the exam table, legs swinging. The girl, Zara, was curled up in a chair, still clutching her stuffed rabbit, watching him with wide, cautious eyes. They were beautiful. God, they were beautiful. Jae-hyun's throat tightened. He'd killed men without hesitation, built an empire on fear. But standing in front of these two small humans, his small humans, he felt something he hadn't felt in years. Vulnerability. Elijah studied him with open curiosity. Are you really my dad? Jae-hyun's chest ached. Yes. The word felt foreign, heavy, sacred. Elijah's eyes widened. Mommy said we don't have a dad. She said he went away, Zara added quietly, her voice small. Amara stood in the doorway, arms wrapped around herself, watching. Jae-hyun crouched down slowly, bringing himself to their eye level. I didn't go away. I didn't know about you. Elijah frowned. Why not? Because. He glanced at Amara. She looked away. Because sometimes grown-ups make mistakes. Did Mommy make a mistake? No. His voice was firm. Your mommy did what she thought was right. Zara tilted her head, Do you have a name? Jaehyun. That's a funny name. Despite everything, he almost smiled. It's Korean. Like the country? Yes. We're part Korean, Elijah said proudly. Mommy told us. She did? She said our dad was Korean, and brave, and, he looked at Amara for help. Strong, she said softly. Jaehyun's gaze met hers across the room. Strong. Not good. Not kind. Not safe. Just strong. Because that's all she could say about him that was true. Elijah hopped off the table and walked right up to Jaehyun, standing inches away. Fearless, just like his father. Are you gonna stay? The boy asked. The question pierced him. Jaehyun hesitated. I want to. Then stay. Simple. Direct. The logic of a 4-year-old. If you want something, you stay. You don't leave. Zara slid off her chair and joined her brother, standing beside him in silent solidarity. She didn't say anything, but her eyes asked the same question. Are you staying? Jaehyun looked at Amara. She was crying silently now, one hand pressed to her mouth. I need to talk to your mom first, he said gently. Okay. Elijah nodded solemnly. But you'll come back, right? Yes. Promise? The word hung between them. A promise. The one thing Jaehyun never gave lightly. I promise. Elijah grinned. Zara's grip on her rabbit loosened slightly. Jaehyun stood, his legs unsteady, and walked toward the door where Amara waited. She stepped into the hallway, and he followed, closing the door softly behind them. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Amara wiped her eyes roughly. You can't do this. Do what? Make promises you can't keep. I can keep it. No, you can't. Her voice rose. You're a crime lord, Jaehyun. You have enemies, rivals. People who would use those children against you the second they found out. Then I'll protect them. How? By surrounding them with armed guards? By teaching them to fear every stranger? By making them live in a fortress? If I have to. That's not a life. It's better than not having a father at all. The words echoed down the empty corridor. Amara flinched. Jaehyun's hands clenched into fists. You don't get to decide that I'm too dangerous to be their father. I already did decide, 5 years ago. And you were wrong. Was I? She stepped closer, her voice shaking. Tell me, Jaehyun, how many people have died because of you? He didn't answer. How many men have you killed? How many families destroyed? How many lives ended because of your empire? That has nothing to do with this. It has everything to do with this. She was shouting now. You live in a world of blood and bullets, and you want to bring my babies into that? Our babies. No. She shook her head fiercely. They're mine. I'm the one who kept them alive, fed them, held them when they cried. You don't get to claim them just because you share DNA. I'm not trying to take them from you. Then what are you trying to do? I'm trying to be their father. The raw desperation in his voice stopped her cold. Jaehyun's chest heaved. I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask to find out that I have children. But now that I know, I can't. I can't just walk away. Amara's expression softened, just slightly. Even if it means giving up everything you've built? Yes. You don't mean that? I do. You're saying that now because you're emotional. But tomorrow, next week, when reality sets in, I'll still mean it. She searched his face, looking for the lie. But there was none. You really would give it all up? She whispered. For them? Yes. And for me? The question caught him off guard. Amara's eyes glistened. Because if you come into their lives, Jaehyun, you're in mine too. And I don't know if I can handle that. Why not? Because I still... She stopped, her voice breaking. Because I never stopped. The confession hung between them. Jaehyun stepped closer, close enough to touch, close enough to feel the warmth of her, close enough to remember what it felt like when she was his. I never stopped either, he said quietly. Amara closed her eyes. That makes it worse. Why? Because loving you almost killed me once, and I can't go through that again. You won't have to. You can't promise that. Yes, he said firmly. I can. He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. His hand cupped her face gently, his thumb brushing away a tear. I lost you once, Amara. I'm not losing you again. Or them. I don't care what it costs. She leaned into his touch, just for a second, before pulling away. It'll cost everything, she whispered. Then I'll pay it. Before she could respond, the exam room door opened. Elijah peeked out. Are you guys done talking? Amara laughed wetly, wiping her face. Almost, baby. Can he stay for dinner? The boy asked. Jae-hyun looked at Amara. She looked at him. And in that moment they both knew. This wasn't a decision. It was a beginning. Yes, Amara said softly. He can stay. Elijah cheered. Zara smiled. And Jae-hyun felt something he hadn't felt in 5 years. Hope. Dinner was supposed to be simple. It wasn't. Amara's apartment was small. Clean. Warm in a way Jae-hyun's penthouse had never been. There were drawings taped to the refrigerator. Toys scattered across the living room floor. A life built carefully, intentionally, without him. He sat at the kitchen table, feeling oversized and out of place, while Elijah chattered endlessly about dinosaurs, and Zara watched him with quiet curiosity, her rabbit never leaving her side. Amara moved through the kitchen with practiced efficiency, plating pasta and cutting vegetables, her movements tense. She hadn't looked at him directly since they'd arrived. Do you like T-Rex? Elijah asked, climbing into the chair beside Jae-hyun. Yes, Jae-hyun said carefully. Me too. They're the strongest. Nothing can beat them. Except meteors, Zara added softly from across the table. Elijah frowned. That's cheating. Jae-hyun almost smiled. Almost. Amara set plates down in front of the children, then one in front of him. Their fingers brushed accidentally, and she pulled back as if burned. Thank you, he said quietly. She nodded, not meeting his eyes, and sat down at the far end of the table. They ate in uncomfortable silence, punctuated only by the children's chatter. Jae-hyun barely tasted the food. His mind was racing, trying to process the impossible reality. He was sitting at a dinner table with his children. His children. Are you rich? Elijah asked suddenly. Amara's fork clattered against her plate. Elijah, Mommy says we can't have a puppy because they're expensive. But if you're our dad, maybe you can buy us one. Jae-hyun looked at Amara. She was staring at her plate, her jaw tight. I could, he said carefully. But that's something you'd need to ask your mom about. She always says no. Elijah sighed dramatically. Because puppies are a big responsibility, Amara said, her voice strained. And we've talked about this. But now we have a dad, Elijah reasoned. So there's more people to help. The innocence of it cut deep. Now we have a dad, as if it were that simple. Zara set down her fork. Are you going to live with us? The question froze everyone. Amara's eyes shot to Jae-hyun, panicked. He didn't know how to answer. Because the truth was complicated. Impossible. He had a life, an empire. Enemies who would kill to hurt him. But looking at Zara's hopeful face, at Elijah's expectant grin, at the family he never knew he wanted. I don't know yet, he said honestly. Zara's face fell. But I want to be part of your lives, he added quickly, however that works. That means yes, Elijah declared confidently. Adults always say I don't know when they mean yes, but don't want to promise. Amara made a small, choked sound. After dinner, she ushered the children toward their bedroom for bath time, leaving Jae-hyun alone in the living room. He stood restless, studying the space. Photos on the walls. The twins as babies, as toddlers, first birthdays, holidays, an entire life documented without him. He picked up a framed photo from the bookshelf. Amara with the twins at a park, all three of them laughing. She looked happy, free. Had she ever been that happy with him? They ask about you sometimes. He turned. Amara stood in the doorway, arms crossed. What do you tell them? He asked. That their father loved them, but couldn't be with us. She paused. I never said you were dead. I couldn't. But I also couldn't tell them the truth, which is that I was terrified you'd choose your empire over them, over me, and I couldn't watch that happen. Jae-hyun set the photo down carefully. You didn't give me the chance to choose, because I already knew what you'd choose. You were wrong. Was I? She stepped into the room. Be honest, Jae-hyun. 5 years ago, if I had told you I was pregnant, what would you have done? He wanted to say he would have walked away from everything. But she was right. 5 years ago, he wouldn't have. His empire was everything. His identity. His purpose. I would have protected you, he said finally. That's not the same as being there. It's all I knew how to do. Amara's expression softened just slightly. I know. They stood in the quiet apartment, the sound of the children's bath-time laughter drifting from down the hall. I got a call today, Jae-hyun said quietly, from my second-in-command. Amara tensed. There's a situation, something I need to handle. I told him I'd call back. He paused. I haven't yet. Why not? Because for the first time in 15 years, my empire isn't the most important thing in my life. Amara's eyes glistened. Don't say things like that. Why not? Because it makes me hope. And hope is dangerous. He crossed the room slowly, stopping just in front of her, close enough to see the tears she was holding back, close enough to remember what it felt like to hold her. I meant what I said earlier, he murmured. I'm not losing you again, or them. You can't just decide that. I already have. Jae-hyun, I'm stepping down. The words hung in the air like a grenade. Amara stared at him. What? From the organization. I'm stepping down. You can't do that. I can. I will. They won't let you just walk away. They don't have a choice. Yes, they do. Her voice rose. You know how this works. You've told me before. People don't retire from your world. They die, or they disappear. Then I'll disappear. With a target on your back, on our backs. I'll handle it. How? She grabbed his arms, desperate. How do you handle an entire organization that won't let you go? How do you protect 2 4-year-olds from men who kill for a living? The same way I've survived for 15 years, by being smarter, stronger, more ruthless than anyone else. And what if it's not enough? It will be. You don't know that. Amara. He cupped her face, forcing her to look at him. I have spent 5 years not knowing I had children. 5 years missing every moment of their lives. I won't miss another second. I don't care what it costs. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I can't lose you again. You won't. You can't promise that. Yes, he whispered, his forehead resting against hers. I can. For a moment, they stayed like that, breathing the same air, remembering what it felt like to be whole. Then, from down the hall, Mommy, we're ready for stories. Amara pulled back, wiping her eyes quickly. Can I? Jae-hyun asked quietly. She hesitated, then nodded. He walked down the narrow hallway and pushed open the door to the children's room. 2 small beds, nightlights glowing softly. Elijah and Zara tucked in, faces scrubbed clean, eyes bright. You're doing story time? Elijah asked, surprised. If that's okay. Yes, both children chorused. Jae-hyun sat carefully on the edge of Elijah's bed. Zara scooted to the edge of hers so she could see him better. What story do you want? He asked. The one about the dragon and the princess, Zara said shyly. But this time, make the dragon nice, Elijah added. Not scary. Jae-hyun's throat tightened. Make the dragon nice. He began to speak, weaving a story about a dragon who protected a kingdom, who was feared but learned to be loved. The children listened, wide-eyed, hanging on every word. When he finished, Elijah yawned hugely. That was good. Will you tell us another one tomorrow? Zara asked. Tomorrow. Such a simple word. Such an impossible promise. Yes, he said. Promise? Elijah pressed. Promise. Both children smiled, settling deeper into their pillows. Jae-hyun stood, moving toward the door, but Elijah's small voice stopped him. Dad? The word hit him like a freight train. Dad. He turned back. Yes? I'm glad you found us. Jae-hyun couldn't speak, could barely breathe. Me too, Zara whispered. He managed a nod, his vision blurring, and stepped out into the hallway before they could see him break. Amara was waiting, leaning against the wall, her own eyes red. They called you Dad, she said softly. I heard. How does it feel? Terrifying, perfect, impossible. She almost smiled. His phone buzzed in his pocket. He ignored it. It buzzed again, and again. Amara's expression shifted. You need to answer that. No. Jae-hyun, I'm not leaving. I'm not asking you to leave. I'm asking you to answer your phone. Reluctantly, he pulled it out. 7 missed calls, 12 texts, all from Min Seok, his second in command. The last text read, Urgent. Call now. Jae-hyun's jaw tightened. Go, Amara said quietly. Handle it. Then come back. I'm coming back. I know. He hesitated, then leaned down and pressed a kiss to her forehead. Soft, brief, a promise without words. Then he was gone, disappearing into the night, his phone already against his ear. And Amara stood alone in the hallway, hand pressed to where his lips had been, praying he'd survive whatever waited for him in the dark. Jae-hyun's car cut through the city like a blade. Min Seok's voice crackled through the phone. Where the hell have you been? It doesn't matter. What's the situation? The Volkov syndicate hit one of our shipments. 6 men dead. They're saying it's retaliation for the territory dispute last month. So handle it. Silence. You want me to handle it? Min Seok's voice was incredulous. Yes. Jae, this is a declaration of war. You need to respond personally, or they'll see it as weakness. Then let them. What? Jae-hyun's grip tightened on the steering wheel. You heard me. Have you lost your mind? Possibly. Jae-hyun, if you don't show strength now, everything we've built will collapse. The other families are watching, waiting. One sign of weakness and they'll tear us apart. I'm aware. Then what are you doing? I'm getting out. The silence on the other end stretched so long, Jae-hyun thought the call had dropped. You're joking, Min Seok said finally. I'm not. You can't just get out. That's not how this works. I don't care how it works. I'm done. Why? What happened? Jae-hyun didn't answer. There's a woman, Min Seok said slowly. There's always a woman. Who is she? That's not your concern. It is if it's making you throw away 15 years of work. It's not throwing it away. It's walking away. There's a difference. Not to the men who depend on you. Not to the families who pay for protection. Not to the enemies who'll see this as an invitation to destroy everything. You'll take over. I'm not you. Then find someone who is. Jae-hyun. This conversation is over. He ended the call. The phone immediately rang again. He declined it. It rang again. And again. Finally, he shut it off completely. The city blurred past. Lights and shadows. The world he'd ruled for so long suddenly felt distant. Unimportant. All he could see was Elijah's face, Zara's smile, Amara's eyes. I'm glad you found us. He drove aimlessly for an hour, his mind racing through scenarios, contingencies, potential threats, men who would come for him, for his family. By the time he pulled over, it was nearly midnight. He sat in the darkness of an empty parking lot, head in his hands, the weight of the decision crushing him. Could he really walk away? Could he really protect them if he did? His phone buzzed. He'd forgotten to turn off the tablet sync. A message flashed across the screen. Not from Min Seok. From someone else. Unknown number. We know about the woman. And the children. Jae-hyun's blood turned to ice. Another message. You can't protect them and keep your empire. Choose. He stared at the screen, his pulse roaring in his ears. They knew. Somehow, already, they knew. He called Min Seok back. Find out who sent this, he said the second the line connected, forwarding the messages. Now. On it. Keys clacked in the background. Jay, this is serious. I know. If they know about your family, I know. More typing, then. The numbers routed through 3 proxy servers. Professional work. This isn't some street thug making threats. This is organized. Volkov? Maybe. Or someone else using the chaos as cover. Jae-hyun's mind raced. Put protection on them. Discreet. I don't want them knowing. Already done. I sent 2 of our best as soon as you mentioned kids earlier. I didn't mention kids. You didn't have to. I've known you 15 years. I know when something's changed. Min Seok paused. Are they yours? Jae-hyun's silence was answer enough. Christ, Min Seok breathed. Okay, we'll keep them safe. But Jae, you need to make a decision. Either you're in and we eliminate the threat, or you're out and you disappear completely. Half measures will get them killed. I'm out. Then you need to disappear. Tonight. All of you. She won't go. Then convince her, because whoever sent that message won't stop with threats. The call ended. Jae-hyun sat in the darkness, the phone in his hand, and made the only choice he could make. He started the car and drove back to Amara. When he knocked on her door at 1 a.m., she opened it immediately, as if she'd been waiting. What happened? She asked, reading his face. We need to talk. She let him in. They sat on the couch, the apartment quiet, the children asleep down the hall. Someone knows about you, he said without preamble. About the twins. Amara's face drained of color. How? I don't know, but they sent a message, a threat. Oh God. Her hand flew to her mouth. I have people watching, you're safe, but... He paused. We need to leave. All of us. Tonight. Leave? To where? Somewhere they can't find us. I have resources, safe houses, new identities. We can start over. Jae-hyun. I have a job, a life. The kids have school. They have a target on their backs, he said bluntly. Everything else is secondary. You're asking me to uproot my entire life. I'm asking you to let me keep you alive. His voice echoed through the apartment. Amara stared at him, fear and anger warring on her face. This is exactly what I was afraid of, she said quietly. The moment you came back into our lives, the danger followed. I know. So, what do? We disappear. For how long? As long as it takes. And then what? We live in hiding forever? The kids grow up never able to use their real names? Never able to have friends or normal lives? They'll be alive. That's not enough. It has to be. Amara stood pacing, her hands shaking. There has to be another way. There isn't. Yes, there is. You go back. You handle the threat. You eliminate whoever's coming for us. And become the monster you ran from 5 years ago? He stood facing her. I told you I'm done with that life. Then we're trapped, because if you leave, they'll come for us. And if you stay, you have to go back to being what you were. No. His voice was steel. There's a third option. Which is? I end it, all of it. I dismantle the entire organization. Burn it to the ground so there's nothing left to threaten you. That's suicide. Maybe. Jae-hyun, I will do whatever it takes, he said fiercely. Whatever. It takes. I don't care if it destroys me, as long as you and the twins are safe. Tears streamed down her face. I don't want you to destroy yourself for us. Too late. The second I saw them, I was already destroyed. He stepped closer. You did that, Amara. You and them. You destroyed the man I was and showed me what I could be. What if it's not enough? It will be. She searched his face, desperate for certainty in an uncertain world. Promise me, she whispered. I promise. No. Promise me that whatever happens, you won't leave them. Even if, her voice broke, even if I'm not here, promise me you'll protect them. Don't talk like that. Promise me. I promise. He pulled her into his arms, holding her tight. I promise. They stood like that, clinging to each other in the darkness, while somewhere in the city, threats gathered like storm clouds. And Jae-hyun knew. The war wasn't coming. It was already here. 3 months later. The house sat on a cliff overlooking the ocean, miles from anywhere. Private, secure, peaceful. Jae-hyun stood on the deck, watching the sun rise over the water, coffee in hand. Behind him, through the open door, he could hear the sounds of mourning. The twins arguing over cereal choices. Amara's laugh as she refereed. Home. It had taken everything to get here. Dismantling the organization hadn't been clean. There had been blood. Betrayals. Men who'd refused to let him go. But Min-seok had stood by him, helping orchestrate the controlled collapse, ensuring that what remained wouldn't follow them. The last threat had been eliminated 2 weeks ago. A final decisive move that ensured no one would look for them again. Jae-hyun was officially dead. The crime lord who'd ruled New York's underground for 15 years had died in a carefully staged accident. The news had run for 3 days before being forgotten. And in his place stood someone new. Just a man. A father. A partner. Dad. He turned. Elijah stood in the doorway, still in pajamas, grinning. Mom says breakfast is ready. Dad came so naturally to them now, like he'd always been there. Coming. Inside, the kitchen was warm and chaotic. Zara was setting the table, her rabbit watching from a chair. Amara stood at the stove, hair pulled back, wearing one of his old shirts and looking more beautiful than he remembered. She glanced over her shoulder and smiled. That smile still destroyed him. They ate together, the conversation easy and light. School stories. The twins attended a small private school under their new names. Weekend plans. Nothing about enemies or threats or the life left behind. After breakfast, Amara shooed the children outside to play, then turned to Jae-hyun, her expression serious. I got an email this morning, she said quietly. From the hospital. His entire body tensed. What kind of email? They want me to consult on a case. A sick child. Rare condition. They think I can help. Absolutely not. Jae-hyun. We agreed. No contact with the old life. This isn't about the old life. This is about a child who's dying. Her eyes pleaded with him. I'm a doctor. I can't just ignore it. You can if it puts our family at risk. 1 consultation. Remote. Anonymous. They don't need to know where I am. It's not safe. Nothing is ever completely safe. But I didn't become a doctor to hide. I became one to help. He wanted to argue. Wanted to lock her in this house where nothing could touch them. But that wasn't living. That was just surviving. 1 consultation, he said finally. Remote. Encrypted. The second anything feels wrong, you're done. She kissed him, quick, grateful. Thank you. Don't make me regret it. I won't. She disappeared into the home office, and Jae-hyun joined the twins outside. They were building something elaborate in the sand, towers and walls and moats. We're making a castle, Zara explained. A safe one, where no one can get in. Except us, Elijah added, because we're the royal family. And Dad's the king, Zara said matter-of-factly. Jae-hyun crouched down beside them. What does that make you? Prince and princess, they chorused. And Mom? The queen, obviously, Elijah said, rolling his eyes as if this were the most obvious thing in the world. Jae-hyun smiled. Obviously. They worked together for hours, building and rebuilding, the ocean breeze cool and salt sweet. This was his empire now. Not territory or power or fear. Just this small, perfect world. By evening, Amara emerged from the office, her face troubled. What's wrong? Jae-hyun asked immediately. She glanced at the twins, who were absorbed in a movie, then gestured for him to follow her outside. On the deck, she handed him her tablet. The case, she said quietly. The sick child. I looked at the file, and the parents' names are listed as Mr. and Mrs. Han. Jae-hyun's blood went cold. Han is a common name. Look at the mother's first name. He looked. Min-hee Han, Min-seok's wife. It could be coincidence, Amara said, but her voice said she didn't believe it. It's not. Jae-hyun's jaw clenched. Min-seok's daughter. She must be sick. If I help, they'll know we're alive. And if I don't, a child dies. They stood in the fading light, the impossible choice hanging between them. What do we do? Amara whispered. Before Jae-hyun could answer, his phone buzzed. A new number. Unknown. He answered cautiously. Yes? Jae-hyun. Min-seok's voice. Rough, desperate. I know you're alive. I need your help. How did you get this number? Does it matter? My daughter is dying. The doctors can't figure it out. But I know someone who can. A pause. Please, she's 4 years old, the same age as your twins. Jae-hyun's chest tightened. Min-seok, I've kept your secret for 3 months. Haven't told a soul. But I need you now. I need her. Meaning Amara. Please. Amara watched Jae-hyun's face, reading every micro-expression. Where are you? Jae-hyun asked finally. New York, Mount Sinai Hospital. We'll be there in 12 hours. Thank you. But Min-seok, if this is a trap, if anyone follows us back here, if my family is threatened in any way, it's not a trap. I swear on my daughter's life. That's exactly what you're doing. The call ended. Amara stared at him. We're going back? We have to. What if... We'll be careful. In and out. No one needs to know we're there except Min-seok. And if someone sees us, they won't. But even as he said it, doubt crept in, because the city never forgot, and neither did its ghosts. 12 hours later, they touched down at a private airstrip outside New York. The twins were with a trusted sitter, someone from Jae-hyun's old network who owed him a blood debt. The city rose before them, familiar and foreign at once. Mount Sinai Hospital loomed in the darkness. They entered through a service entrance, Min-seok meeting them in a deserted hallway. He looked haggard, broken. Thank you for coming, he said, his voice cracking. Where is she? Amara asked gently. This way. They followed him through sterile corridors to a private room. Inside, a small girl lay in a hospital bed, surrounded by machines. Pale, fragile, barely breathing. Min-seok's wife sat beside the bed, her hand clutching her daughter's. She looked up when they entered, and her eyes widened in recognition. She's here to help, Min-seok said quickly. Amara moved to the bedside, her doctor instincts taking over. She began examining the child, reviewing charts, asking questions in rapid-fire succession. Jae-hyun stayed back, watching the door, every nerve on high alert. 30 minutes passed. Then an hour. Finally, Amara straightened. I know what it is. What? Min-seok's wife gasped. It's rare, very rare, but treatable. She needs a specific medication that most hospitals don't stock, but I know where to get it. How fast? Min-seok asked. If we move now, she could be stable by morning. Hope flared in their eyes. Go, Min-seok said. Tell me what you need. I'll get it. Amara gave him the list. Min-seok disappeared. And Jae-hyun and Amara were left alone in the hospital room with the dying child and her unconscious mother who'd fallen asleep in the chair. We should go, Jae-hyun said quietly. Not until I know she's stable. Amara, she's 4, Jae-hyun, the same age as our babies. I can't leave her. He understood. God help him, he understood. So they waited. And while they waited, in the shadows of the hospital parking lot, someone watched. Someone who recognized Jae-hyun's face. Someone who'd thought he was dead. Someone who picked up a phone and made a call. You're not going to believe who I just saw,